Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Emily and this is my beautiful little YouTube channel. So for today's video, I am showing you how I do this everyday look. For my everyday makeup, I try to achieve 3 different things. 1, I want to look more awake, so I want to make it seem like I've had plenty of sleep, but in reality, we all know I didn't do that and I want to sleep at 4 a.m. 2, I focus a lot on my eye area, specifically with my brows. I don't have that many brow hairs, so I do spend a little more time to make them look more naturally full and bushy. And 3, I just want a nice soft look that, I can do really fast in about 15 minutes and still feel put together and make it seem like I spent a lot more time on my makeup. I want to create an illusion that this took way more energy than it actually did. So if you guys want to know how I got all this done, please keep on watching. So the first thing I always start off with every day is my sunscreen. Sunscreen is probably the most important thing you can do for your skin on a daily basis. This is the Misha Essence Sun Milk in SPF 50. I'm pretty sure it is a Korean skincare brand. And Korean skincare, specifically when it comes to sunscreen, is so good. Their technology is just so much more advanced than us in the US, and it's just so much better. And then don't forget the neck. The neck is extremely important. So on a daily basis, I usually use some sort of tinted moisturizer, something that won't give me too much coverage but will even my skin tone. So for today, I'm going to go in with the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer. I go in with the shade Medium 12W. This is a little deeper than my skin tone, so I go in with a little bit of the shade 8N. I don't mind if my tinted moisturizers don't match me perfectly because there's such a light coverage, you won't see that much of a difference. So I take about 1 full pump of the 12W and then do about half a pump of the 8N. So what I do then is I mix that on the back of my hand, and what I'll start to do is I start to blend it out with my fingers. I actually really enjoy using my fingers when I'm doing a everyday look. You don't need thousands of tools to create a really nice look. Once I spread that out onto the entirety of my face and I've used up all the product on the back of hand, what you can also do is use a sponge on a daily basis. I think having a sponge is really quick, really easy, and you can take this with you to kind of touch it throughout the day. So this is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer sponge, something like that. It's about $6, super soft, it has the pointed edge, really affordable, really good sponge. Again, I know I'm not going to get a full coverage. This is a light coverage kind of look, so I don't mind that the sponge might be removing some of the coverage. I can increase the coverage by spot concealing with a concealer. Since I'm using such a light coverage base, I usually go in with a little less concealer. Let's say you use a very light coverage foundation and then you use a very full coverage or a lot of concealer around your T-zone. It'll look really obvious and it'll actually take away that illusion that your skin looks really skin-like. I'm using my favorite concealers of all time. I'm going to mix together the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shades Medium Sand and Medium Peach. So I'm going to mix these 2 shades and I'm just going to put a little bit on the areas that I want to cover instead of dragging it around and putting a ton of product. And then I'm going to take the shade Medium Peach and go over the areas that I place that concealer, except I'm really going to focus that on the center of my face and under my eyes. So like I said, your fingers are a great tool. Something that I like to do when I'm spot concealing is I like to blend it out with my finger first. That way I can be a little more precise in the placement of the product, so I can keep that coverage where I placed it and not spread it around too much. And so then I'll go in with my sponge once I've done that to kind of soften that out. Again, not to spread the coverage, but just to kind of diffuse it and make sure it doesn't look like I have just a light coverage and then a spackle in just one area. I usually leave the concealer under my eye for last because I want to make sure that that's the area that I have the most coverage. In place, blend the concealer that's right under my eye. So for an everyday look, I love going in mostly with creams and then just setting it with a light powder. So I'm going to go in with my Milk Makeup Bronzing Stick. This is the mini size. And I'm going to start placing it around the areas that I typically bronze. I know I can be really heavy-handed with this because I get really excited, but I'm just going to be a little more careful and just place around the areas that I know I want a little bronze. I put a little bit on my eyelids to kind of give an eyeshadow effect to make it look like we did an eyeshadow look, but in reality it's just a little bit of the cream bronzer that we've placed there. And I'm going to go in again with my sponge Stick products are really fast, really quick, because you can apply the product directly on your skin. I'm not really precise when it comes to blending out the bronzer on my eyelid. I kind of just blend it in place, and then as you can see, I have a nice light shadow. You know, it makes it look like we actually spent time to do an eye look, but in reality it was just a really quick step in our contouring and bronzing routine. And I'm gonna go in with my sponge and just start blending that out. So for the life of me, I'll just mention, I can't get this to like not have like lines. I got a steamer to take out the wrinkles, but the bottom of my backdrop is still a struggle because there's nothing at the bottom in the middle to pull it down to make sure it's completely flat. So I'm working on that. So sorry if that's a distraction at all. So next thing I'm going to go in with is a blush. This is another stick blush. This is one of the e.l.f. monochromatic multi-sticks. You get not the most amount of product, I will admit, but also these only cost a few dollars, so you're not missing out on too much. You can either go directly on the cheeks or you can do it on the back of your hand. For today, I'll put it on the back of my hand, and this will kind of warm up the product. So what you can do is you can take your finger, the product in the back of your hand, and you can just start pressing it into the skin really lightly. I try not to go too harsh. For me, I like to go on the apples of the cheeks and then bring it up. Blush is a really great way to emphasize your cheekbones. I think that oftentimes we only think about bronzer, but blush is really amazing at helping shape the face. I really love sponges. As you can see, we've gone in with about 4 or 5 different products and we're still using a sponge. It's just one tool we've used. You don't need to buy a bunch of brushes. A sponge can often do a lot of the work for you. Alright, sometimes I will even go... Oh, my nose itches. Oh my god, my nose itches. Oh. So the next product I'm going to go in with is, I mean, none of these steps are necessary, but this is absolutely not necessary. This is very much just if you want to. This is the Fenty Beauty Match Stick in the shade Pearl. It has 3 R's. I can't roll my R's, and I'm not going to attempt to say it with the 3 R's. Anyway, so this stick doesn't have any color to it. It is essentially going to just create a really beautiful natural highlight and natural glow on the skin. I don't know if you guys can see that, just that shine right there. I think that this product is really great for anybody that has dry skin. If you want to give yourself a nice highlight but you don't want to emphasize any texture that you may have on your cheekbones, this is really great. I'm just going to take that. You could also just take it directly with your finger here, but I like putting it on my hand. And then I'm just going to... Alright, so my skin looks nice and glowy and bronzed and blushed out. I usually don't drink when I first wake up in the morning, so this is not a part of my daily routine. I mean, in quarantine it kind of has become. Anyway, I just outed myself as somebody who drinks too much. Anyway. Oh my god, it makes me so happy to see like my friends subscribing to my channel. It's like so sweet. Love you all. You guys are the best. So you can go in with a loose powder or a powder foundation. A powder foundation is a really great option if you want to take it with you on the go and you take a sponge or a brush with you to kind of fix any areas that might be a little too oily throughout the day and kind of mattify. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to go in with a loose setting powder. This is the ColourPop No Filter Loose Setting Powder in the shade Translucent. So I'm going to go with this powder. I'm going to put a little bit... I don't know why I thought that was going to work. So I get some of the powder on my sponge and I tap off the excess. And I just softly start to set under my eye. Around the T-zone. So now I'm going to lightly set the perimeter of my face with a big fluffy brush. Again, I don't want to overly mattify my face, but I do want to set the foundation. So I took a little powder, my brush, I dust off the excess like that, and I just go in and I just softly start to set my entire skin. You can go back in with your sponge to push it all in again. So now I'm going to do my brows. I will admit I use a lot of products for my brows, but that's only because I struggle in the brow department, so I do spend a little more time doing my brows. So I'm going to start with the e.l.f. Brow Gel. This is a brow gel that has little fibers to create kind of little hairs. It's also a colored brow gel. This isn't a clear one, so it'll start giving a little color to my brows. So I'm going to go in with this. So I'm going to start to brush where I already have brows. I'm not creating any new shape. I'm just brushing in where I already have brows. After that, I will start to kind of brush them up in the center. Oh, I should probably zoom in, huh? So if you compare between both sides, you can already see this one is fuller, fluffier, has a more, you know, structured shape, whereas this one, I'm missing a lot of hair right here. I have a little open spot right here. So after this, I usually go in with one of two products. It's either a brow pencil, which I just recently started using brow pencils again. Brow pencils can be a little wasteful because they go really quickly, but I bought these from Mented Cosmetics, so I wanted to support a Black-owned brand and I wanted to try out their brow products, and I really like this one. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to go in with my Glossier Brow Flick. It's my song. Guess what I'm doing right now?
What? Makeup video again?
Yeah, I'm filming. I haven't filmed today. Hello. It's been about 30 something minutes since I last left you guys. I got a quick little FaceTime call and I'm just getting back. So next thing I'm gonna go in with is my Glossier Brow Flick in the shade Brown. This is the second deepest shade. And what this is, let's see if it'll focus. So with this one, it's almost like an eyeliner. It is a liquid product. It's almost like an eyeliner, but much less pigmented. What I'm gonna start doing is creating quick little brow strokes like this. Very lightly. Again, this is a very everyday natural brow, so I'm not going in with a shade that's super dark. I'm going in with light pressure. This might look a little weird just because I'm trying to do this in front of the camera, so it's a little difficult. And then I like to make sure that I create a couple of the hairs in the front. And sometimes I end up messing up and adding too much product in the end, and I literally just use my finger to clean it up because I don't have a super dry base. So like I said, my brows are probably the most high maintenance part of my routine, and I go in with the third product. Now this third product is a Glossier Boy Brow. This is the clear one, and essentially what this one will do is just hold my hairs. e.l.f. brow gel doesn't have as much of a strong hold. I literally just use it to give it color and to give it shape. So this brow gel has a really small brush, and it's gonna be really good for getting into each of those hairs, really shaping them and having them kind of go up to create that nice bushy effect. So I'm just gonna start from the beginning and start slowly bringing up the brows. Just start brushing them in an upward direction, an upward and outward direction. Because I added that bronzer on my lids, it's giving it a nice light shadow effect. What you can do is take a fluffy brush and your powdered bronzer contour and just lightly swipe it through the crease to kind of, again, give it a nice light shadow effect. Give it that look like you spent more time on your makeup than you actually did, which I'll do right now. So I'm going to take my bronzer and this fluffy brush, cover that with the powder, and then what I'm going to quickly do is just lightly brush that on the lid. The bronzer is not going to be as pigmented as a typical eyeshadow, so you don't have to worry about being as precise. What I'm also going to show you as another tip is to take a slightly darker shade, or you can take the same shade, take that same brush, and what you're going to do is you're just literally going to pinch it like this. I do this with my bronzer brush all the time, and I'm just going to lightly dust that on the lash line. And there, you have a nice soft wash of color on the lid that gives you a little bit of life. I'm going to take my Too Faced Damn Girl Mascara, and I'm going to immediately start coating the lash that I had curled, so it doesn't have any time to fall or lose its curl. If you have straight lashes that you have trouble keeping them up and they just go straight down, I would highly recommend trying out a waterproof mascara. Usually waterproof mascaras have a stronger hold, so it might be able to hold a curl better. Just lightly drag the product down the lashes to make sure they're evenly coated. Before I go in to do my lips, I do want to see if this matchstick would work well on top of the powder that's on my skin, because I do have a little bit of powder from when I set my face. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to lightly place that on the tops of my cheekbones. I'm going to add a little bit onto the nose just to Give that little nose a highlight, just the tiniest bit. Any excess, I kind of just wipe it off my finger. This smells like a particular candy. It smells like gummy bears. I'm gonna go in with another Glossier product. This is the Generation G lipstick in the shade Cake. This is my favorite everyday lipstick. So you can go in super light like that, give it that your lips but better look. You can also build it up, which I'll do right now. I don't always go in with the gloss, but for my everyday, this is the gloss that I gravitate towards. It's the Fenty Beauty Gloss Balm in the shade Fenty Glow. This is the original one. Soft, soft. Alright. Alright everybody, I hope you guys liked this video. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, share. Turn on your notifications if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. Please let me know below any other video suggestions you guys have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!